Episode 4. I'm one of your co-hosts, Alec Kubasmeyer. Joining me today is Brian Kale.
I can't do that voice.
And Joe Yang. Cool.
Hello.
So.
Oh, God.
So, yeah. Hey, guys. Hey, listeners.
Hey,
Apparently there were 40 of you last time. I expect that number to go down immediately, but that's okay. We're great.
We'll
you
be
know.
on iTunes next week, so.
Yeah, we're going to be on
better.
iTunes. We're going to make hella bank from our sponsor to be Squarespace. So, speaking of Squarespace, I have a Squarespace website. I talked about that several episodes ago and the problems therein. But I am using Squarespace as a prop of sorts in a movie I'm making pretty soon. And I do want to say that making a professional-looking escort-ish site was very, very simple. I just followed one of their layouts. I made some minor tweaks or whatever. But basically, I followed their thing. I sent it to people, and they were like, wow, that looks legit as fuck. I would buy an escort or something from that platform.
Or something. What else has an escort
Thanks, Squarespace. Please give us money.
Are you going to have to pay Squarespace for any likenesses, or
What?
are you going to have to feature them in your film?
No. I paid for a fucking license. If I have to mention that it's a Squarespace site in the credits or something, they can go fuck themselves.
I feel like that's a lawyer thing to ask.
It's only if you use their logo.
Yeah.
If you use if you use WordPress on your thing, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is if you put the WordPress logo somewhere on your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just shows
And
you
it
how
doesn't-
slow this week has been post-GDC that we open up talking about Alec making a prostitute website.
No, but I mean, honestly, that has been most of my week, not playing video games, working on that movie. So that actually has nothing to do with it and everything to do with I'm gonna send it to you guys right now. Don't post the link because it's a secret. This makes for great radio, you guys.
Nice. I love it. I'm looking at it right now. Amazing.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
The link is finally here. Okay.
Oh, I saw this on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What's your pleasure?
Yeah, Can
I type in my contact and stuff and shit will happen?
Yeah, it'll send an email to the account that I made for that. Yeah, no, it works. I mean, that's Squarespace for you. This literally took very little time.
It was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I had my friend who's a graphic designer go through it and choose better fonts and stuff, but even the basic out of the box thing still looked pretty darn good.
You know, we mentioned it last time. Squarespace is nothing. If it's nothing, it's fucking sexy.
Yeah, it really is. It is fucking sexy. So, Squarespace, if you're listening, you're sexy and you should give us money. So we will keep telling people about how sexy you are.
Now we're just pandering.
Yep, that's okay. I mean, that's what sponsorships are. They're just pandering to something.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, but I mean, seriously though, I actually took that photo today. I had been using a placeholder before of someone else, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. But then I got this photo, and I'm super happy with it. I think it looks suitably creepy.
Was the photo just a picture of a fat man in a Ford Focus?
The generic photo.
I don't think Joe looked at the page.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did not. You should look at the site, Joe. It's pretty cool.
It looks very David Fincher.
Yeah, the original photo was some random woman on a skateboard in a desert, and I was like, you know what? That could almost work in a really weird, esoteric avant-garde kind of way.
That's what people are looking for when they rent a companion for the night.
Exactly. When I call up a call girl, the best way to figure out whether I'm going to have a happy ending is whether she knows how to play chess with death. And if she says no, I say, well, I'm going to call the cops on you because I'm a terrible human being. Anyhow, back to you, Alec.
Cool. So yeah, so we're done talking about my thing for at least for a while. But let's talk about video games. So I guess we'll talk about video games we've played this week. Last week I told you guys that I didn't play any video games, and I realized after the fact that that was not true, except in a general sense.
You're a liar.
So the games I had played last week and have played this week are tennis, which I wrote about for pauseandselect.com, and desert golfing, which I wrote about for thedailybeast.com. One of those sites has a lot more readers than the other one. But
that's true.
That's very, very true. The point is, the fact that I didn't even think about either of those games last week speaks to how they've just sort of become a part of my daily existence. If at any point I am bored, I just pull up my phone and I either start playing desert golfing or tennis.
You got a copy of, what's the Nintendo game, Project Spark or Project something, right?
Oh, Project Codename Steam or something like that?
Yeah, did you play it? Because it's getting unfavorable reviews.
Yeah, I saw that, and no.
Yeah, well, okay. I can see why the order is getting unfavorable reviews, but so that's why I thought I'd ask you about this.
Yeah, well, I have a tendency to not play games, and then they come out, and then I still don't play them, and then I'm like, oh yeah, vindicated.
Cool.
I do have a copy of Mario Party 10, but maybe I'm not supposed to mention that. I don't know.
I thought they already did that with Super Smash. I'm kidding. That stupid game in Super Smash.
Look,
is that the amiibo?
It came with an amiibo. So now I have 2 different Mario amiibos that Nintendo sent me, and no other amiibos. But this one's doing a different thing than the other Mario amiibo is. So I guess that's cool. But the thing that's interesting about the Mario Party 10 box, the Mario Party 10 that comes with the amiibo, is that you can't actually see the game on the box. You just see the amiibo. The game is hidden behind the amiibo.
Wait, weren't you not supposed to be talking about this?
I don't know. I mean, the likelihood that anyone who cares listens to this is negative.
True.
Although actually, I have one friend who works for Nintendo's PR person. He is a friend of mine on Facebook. He is a former writer for Destructoid. Now writes for Golan, which does Nintendo's PR. Although I've never actually talked to him in a work capacity, I just know that he does work for them. The 2 games I played, tennis and desert golfing, but they've just sort of become staples of my life, and I don't really play other video games. I keep meaning to play Kirby's Canvas Curse, but it hasn't happened. How about you, Joe? Have you played any weird Japanese things?
No. I've been playing Katawa Shoujo, which is the crippled girl romance game by 4chan. I've been slowly getting back into that game. It's very magical.
4chan developed it?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I think
I
I
did not
missed
know that.
Did a developer group from 4chan do it, or did 4chan do it?
It was a bunch of people who got together on 4chan, decided to create a visual novel.
Oh, that's really
Did you
weird.
not know that?
And
No.
4chan didn't lose their shit over the fact that it's a visual novel? Aren't those usually the people that really hate visual novels?
No, let me pull up the very exciting Wikipedia description here. Katawa Shoujo, literally cripple girls, translated disability girls, is a Bishoujo-style visual novel by Four Leaf Studios that tells the story of a young man and 5 young women living with varying disabilities.
Varying disabilities? What? I love how you
varying
just glossed over that. What is that? Elaborate.
Well, there's one girl who's got her face burned, another girl with no forearms, another girl who's blind.
Okay, so this week I played. You never cease to amaze me, Joe.
From 2007. Let me change. Let me change it to something a little bit more formal here, so people will take me a little bit more seriously. From 2007, the sketch was discussed extensively on the 4chan image board, and a development group was assembled from users of 4chan and other internet communities who are of various nationalities, not necessarily Japanese. Yeah, so
What was
essentially,
with the aristocratic British man?
I was trying to make it sound more legitimate and serious than it needs to be. So
talking about
my
a game
words
where
carry
you-
more legitimacy.
You're courting 5 women with 5 different ailments.
Yo, dog. The ailments are simply surface, shallow troubles and trifles that they have, simply because I am trying to court them. It should not factor in with the fact that they're disabled. Wait, no, that's the other way around. No, it makes
You're
it
the
look
one who
like I'm
mentioned it.
actually trying to go for them because they are actually disabled. I'm just going to say it's a pretty good game.
You would recommend it.
I would definitely recommend it. I would recommend it for people of all ages, in fact.
Is
I
it
mean,
free?
if you are the type of person who watches Harry and the Hendersons and loves it, I recommend that you play this video game. If you watch The Avengers and you love it, I recommend you play this video game. If you're the type of person who uses turn signals when you turn in traffic, you should definitely play this game. That's how universal the message behind Cripple Girls is.
It's called
It is
Cripple Girls?
all-encompassing. Yes.
Is it free?
Yes.
All right.
We should write about it. It's got to be the Barbie's Horse Adventure of something.
Yeah, why don't you write about it, Joe?
I'm going to eventually once I actually finish it. But I am too busy at the moment playing
Too
Conception
busy not
Tuesday.
updating the RSS feed.
Yes, exactly right. I mean, no, I've been so busy. I've been unable to do that. I've also been playing Cities, Skyline.
Everyone has been talking about the game. I saw you on Steam today. I
Yes.
think playing it. People
Yes,
really
I
love it, right?
People really love it. I understand why people love it. I'm not a
Nostalgia is
huge
hell of a
fan of
drug.
it, but I understand why people love it.
Why do people love it?
It's because it's essentially SimCity without the incredibly broken civilian tracking algorithms and without the wedged-in multiplayer.
Is it $40? Is it a $40 price game or a $60 price game?
$30.
Ooh,
Oh,
but
shit.
so a lot of people on my friends list I saw playing it today. A lot of the sites, people have a heavy nostalgia for the SimCity 2000.
It's essentially SimCity 2000, but streamlined and with modern-day graphics.
So I should pick it up. Maybe.
You definitely should.
It's from the people who did the other City games, right? City XL.
Well, I have no idea. I could care less.
You mean you couldn't care less?
That's right. That's right, Alec. When I go into a video game, I go in blind. I go in with my eyes closed, my mind open, and my pants off.
You go in
And that's
the
how
vacuum.
I do it.
You go in a vacuum.
That's right.
I mean, I try to do that with movies. It's kind of harder with video games. Then again, I don't play video games, so it doesn't even apply.
I tried that with a movie once. It was Original Sin featuring Angelina Jolie, and it was in public. And I immediately realized what was wrong with my decision.
You immediately regretted your decision.
That's right. But it didn't stop me. I didn't leave. I stayed there. Why? Because I made a promise to myself, and I don't back out on my promises.
You sure about that, Joe?
I remember when that movie came out. I was working in a movie theater then. So it was considered risque, if I recall.
Did you ever get someone who was like where the one scene where the guy is just fingering her? Did you ever get someone in the theater just being like, "Whoa, he's fingering
No,
her"? I don't know why they would sound like that, but you know.
We never really had problems like that. No, definitely not. Definitely not. We had
Too bad.
kids drinking, stuff like that. The staff honestly got in more trouble than any of the customers did. So
What did the staff do, you naughty
the
boy?
staff had done like all the stories you hear about people doing in movie theaters. The staff was the ones that were doing that stuff. There were drinking parties. There were people having sex in the movie theater. It was a huge.
That sounds incredibly unhygienic.
Yeah, right?
Oh my god!
You
Like,
think
have you
they'd be
seen
the ones who would know how disgusting that is?
Have you seen the floor of a movie theater? Like next time you walk into a movie theater, just listen to your shoes like as you walk. Floors of a movie theater are
Yeah.
disgusting. But,
Yeah, it sounds incredibly dirty, and not in an exciting, adventurous way, in a biological way.
Well, you know how teenagers are. You know, it doesn't really matter to them.
No, I don't, Brian. I don't.
Brian,
I
tell
should
us about what
mention-
games you've been playing.
I should mention, so you said you were playing tennis and desert golfing.
Yep.
I have been playing threes now for over a year, so I have never mentioned. Just assume that when I say I'm playing video games, threes is one of the games that I've been playing.
How is I know that 2048 is a ripoff of Threes.
Threes is better because of the production value.
Okay.
It's 2048 is the exact same game, same mechanics except of different numbers. Threes, the music and the sound design and the animations are phenomenal. And the game, I've been playing it for over a year now. It still holds up. And the music, the way it was designed, it's this long looping song, but it's only like 6 minutes, and it's hard to tell when the song loops over, and it really folds over itself in a way that is enjoyable and it's catchy. And then all of the little tiles have sound effects and noises they make. I'd recommend checking it out. It's only $1.99. You know,
It's $1.99. It is the same price as both tennis and desert golfing.
when it
I'm
comes
gonna buy it right now.
when it comes to getting anything on the App Store, this is consumer advice to people listening. If a game costs money, it's generally worth your time to buy. The free ones are often the shitty ones, and that's why they're free, because I'm confident they can sell for a price. If a company is actually selling a game on the App Store, it's because they invested time and money into it, and they feel they can get away with it. Now, obviously, there are other games that do cost money that you want to get that are total ripoffs. Don't just go for the free games on the App Stores. This is part of the whole narrative I've been talking about the last 2 weeks of you get what you pay for with free shit, and no one wants to pay for anything on the internet. You know, this week I've been playing The Order.
So how is it? You're welcome, by the way.
Thank you. I'm about an hour in. It's
Oh, you're almost done.
Yeah, no, it's from what I hear, it's 6 hours. It is really fucking good looking. Like one of the best looking video games I've ever seen. Better looking than a lot of PC games. And from what I understand, the game took 5 years to make. And I worry that most of that time went into develop the visuals of the game, and that left very little time for gameplay elements.
That's probably true.
And that's kind of a disturbing trend for where video games are going, that to get these high fidelity games, you have to sacrifice gameplay for development time. But if you played Gears of War, you've played The Order. It is very much a last-gen game with this-gen graphics. But that being said, it's not 4 out of 10 or whatever the other sites I'm giving it. I mean, maybe I'll change my mind when I get down there later, but it's a serviceable video game. For reviewers have to understand that they play much more video games than the average consumer. But we'll see. I'll have to finish it up to give my full review.
Reviewers do play a lot more video games.
Well, like,
Isn't that right, Alec?
I've been reading a lot of reviews about The Order, and it's like
I play so many video games, you guys. You don't even know.
you don't play shit. You play desert golf.
Wow, that was particularly venomous. You don't play shit.
Shit. I feel like
I'm playing
we don't
Freeze
have
now.
any
That's a
pacing
video
this
game.
week. Why couldn't there have been another GDC this week so we had good pacing?
I mean, we have things to talk about. We're just not talking about them.
Alec, you wrote down, like, spring is here. Yes. It's good to have spring back in the city. Feels like a switch has been flicked.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I was out in a goddamn t-shirt today.
Yeah, I was out in t-shirt and shorts and boat shoes to go get my laundry. The city in springtime is a magical time of the year here. And it's so funny because I feel like 5 days ago, it was still blistering ass cold and no one wanted to go outside. And here we are, the sun's up, people are happy. It's crazy. Joe, how big's the city you live in? Where do you live again?
I live in Waterloo. It's the home of Research in Motion, or BlackBerry.
Ah.
Oh,
So,
aren't they dead?
going out of business.
BlackBerry has been considered dead for several years now. They are incredibly hard to kill, so I wouldn't really call them dead. I'd probably say they've transformed.
Don't they have some deal with the federal government that all federal government employees use Blackberries? Isn't that what I...
They
That's not true
probably
anymore.
have some sort of
It's,
deal
it might not be true
somewhere,
anymore, but I remember for a while. That was the
Yeah,
pitch.
But
no,
they
it
do.
was a security question.
Oh,
They were supposed to
okay.
be better than everything else.
Okay.
They own QNX, which is everywhere. Pretty much anything that runs on a custom firmware operating system for things that don't really need operating systems, like say cars, will run some version of QNX.
So they diversified their portfolio, is what you're saying.
Their portfolio is hugely diversified,
Okay, but do they
so
still
it's
call
hard to
themselves
kill that
BlackBerry?
company.
But yeah,
Pardon?
that's good. You know, you never want to see. You always want to see a tech company evolve, like Facebook is with VR. You know, one tech dies, a new one comes in.
We also we also have OpenText, Thalmic Labs, Sandvine. We've recently
OpenText,
got
like
a
the tax company.
no OpenText.
OpenText.
Yeah. We've got an EA office opened up recently, Google office, and Apple is looking to. Essentially, it's a very vibrant sort of Silicon Valley-esque location, which is ironic considering the fact that most other communities revolving around the Waterloo area are Mennonite in nature.
So what you're saying is the property values are low there.
Oh no, they've become really high because of the info tech companies that have sprouted up here.
Why do they pick Waterloo?
It's because the University of Waterloo here, which is one of the most rigorous mathematics universities in North America.
Ah, Alec, you wrote down petitions for remakes.
Yeah, so I saw this on some website recently.
You have the IGN article here.
Basically, the thing that struck me about that is multiple things. So for those who don't go to IGN, which is usually me, I don't know why I was there. There was a petition put on change.org by someone who wants Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 to be remade, presumably for the current generation of consoles.
Not remastered, remade, right?
Yeah, remade. You know, I think it raises a lot of sort of interesting questions about the way people feel about games in terms of sort of nostalgic, and you know, you look back at Modern Warfare 2 and you think of it as this grand masterpiece, but it's really not. I think it's interesting that they didn't request the original Modern Warfare, and they specifically went for Modern Warfare 2.
That was the one that really blew up.
Yeah, I mean that was the game that changed the game. You know, Modern Warfare 2, I guess, was really just more of a refinement. But if you're doing a remake, why not?
It's odd because so many people, critics, fans, everywhere, complain that all we're being given every year in and year out, is the same game with a different skin on it every year. Whether it's The Order, which is just a rehash of other games. And then you see people saying they want, oh, give us a remake of this game. We want a remake of that game. So people are very selective when it comes to that. And I kind of feel like it's playing into lazy AAA game development that everyone's really kind of weary about. It's disingenuous almost. What's wrong with the original game that you would want to
It
remake
doesn't
of it?
play on new consoles.
Yeah, but
No!
that's a fault of. No, fuck that. Who cares if it doesn't play on new consoles? Play it on the old console. Are the servers still running for it, I presume? I don't think so. It's an EA game.
What?
It's an Activision game? The servers still aren't running for it, are they?
I doubt it. That's
See,
like
no, there you
6
go.
Call of Duties ago. There's no way.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm sure you could probably get a copy of that game and get some private server and play it if you really wanted to. Unfortunately, online games are server dependent and servers get shut down. I'm not a big fan of remasters are one thing, unless of course you're Microsoft and you put out the remastered Halo collection and it doesn't fucking work.
I love it. I
But-
love that part.
Yeah, like that's. So we're getting to the point in game design where developers who want to pad out theirs have nothing coming out, and they lazily remaster a game that's broken, and they did it, you know, with little thought. It's a slippery slope, and I really want to ask people why. Why do you want to remake? Why do you want to remake a Final Fantasy VII? What's wrong with the original version? Go play it.
Yo, so it's that when Cloud gives the flowers to Aerith, and when she eventually gets stabbed through the gut, I can see it on like in HD, dog. So
Yeah, but-
I can stream it on YouTube, man.
You can still stream it on YouTube. Just get a capture kit.
But-
And
But it won't be in HD.
that's
You can see the lines.
we lost Alec for a second, I think.
Oh no.
Do you two have an opinion on remakes of video games? Because I don't think games should be remade. I think the original version should stand up. Obviously, the servers don't work for Call of Duty 2, so that's a different topic. But I'm not a fan of remaking video games.
I mean, I did an article about this a while back for the Daily Beast. It was just more about reboots, but remakes are sort of a part. I think that you know what I really think. I think that remakes would be an interesting way for up and coming developers to prove themselves as technically competent and as a stepping stone into larger projects. You know how like an indie
Like,
director could be pulled up to like the next big budget tentpole before getting to sort of work on his own sort of interesting things.
see,
I think that
that used to happen.
right, and I think that could be interesting because there are a lot of developers who sort of want to prove themselves, and there are a lot of games that could do with an update, and especially games for like the PlayStation 1 that are, you can have the hardware to play them, but they're hard to play. Times have changed, and it's no longer the experience it once was. But it's like rather than having the main Final Fantasy team remake Final Fantasy VII, give it to some new team that is really just sort of looking for something to cut their teeth on. Diverting resources from a team that has proven it can do more interesting things, I think that's problematic. There are so many people who want to be game developers, and giving some of them a chance to prove themselves by, updating old projects, I don't see that being an issue.
See, Square has done a really good job of remaking their older games. They remake them for the Nintendo DS, and they like change the art style, add in new gameplay elements, and modernize them. They're smaller games, they're probably cheaper to make, easier, which is fine, and those honestly work. But a lot of these old games that people would want to be remade, as you said, are not actually as good as we remember, because yeah, back in the day they were good, but taste in game design have evolved such to where a lot of gameplay elements are horribly outdated, and you would find unpleasant almost. I would rather, so right now on Steam, there are a bunch of people making, not remakes, but games heavily inspired by old classics. Those are more interesting than almost any remake. Like, someone made a video game that's basically Sonic the Hedgehog on Steam, and that sounds more interesting than someone remaking Sonic the Hedgehog. A Legend of Zelda, how many countless games are heavily inspired by the original Zelda game? Like, The Binding of Isaac is a great inspiration, modernization of that game. Metroidvania style games. Give these developers new IPs. I don't know. I just think that the original game should stand up.
Yeah, I mean, what I think it comes down down to on some level, you can rewatch a classic film more easily than you can replay a classic game. And I think this is less true for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 than for games like Grim Fandango. But, these people have these nostalgic memories that they want other people to have, but it's not like you can just invite them over, pop in a DVD, and then, have fun or whatever. It's a very different experience, and so I think a lot of people want their friends or family or whatever, people they know now, to sort of have some of those same experiences they did.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, It
right,
people's
while
judgment.
being cognizant of the fact that they can't have the experience you had because times have changed. And so a remake is the only way to, a good remake, one that can pull back those feelings. Something, a lot of people say the Grim Fandango remake does that with the way it updated things to feel like the way you remember them.
Well,
Doing something like that. But there needs to be serious talent behind that too. You can't half-ass it. So.
Well, then let me ask you this: Who
no,
shot
it's the
first?
cops.
Who shot first, Han Solo or Greedo?
I mean, Greedo didn't shoot at all, did he?
In the original film, Han Solo shot first. But when they remastered,
Right.
remade the film, quote unquote, for the special edition, Greedo shot first and Han shot second.
Right. But that's not a remake. If
No, but-
someone had straight up remade the movie, that would be different.
But let me.
That's
here's the
just him
thing.
altering it.
No, but he's a different director. It's 30 years difference. He was a different person when he was young. So essentially, it's a different director. That's essentially a different creative director who will impart their own creative ideas and inspirations on the game, which could fundamentally alter the original artwork. Now, obviously, it doesn't matter for certain games, but classic games that are held up as pinnacles of culture,
Okay.
you don't want to change their art, and someone else doing the art will impart their own beliefs on that art, and it will change it in some way. E.T., the original E.T., the cops have guns, and E.T., the new one, cops don't have guns.
Yeah, but even Steven Spielberg is like, well, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I know, but it still happened. And
Right.
the case when I wrote that article about Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy, it's so low res that they don't have facial expressions. In order to project how these characters felt and what faces they're making, you basically had to make it up in your own head based off the text, and the characters grew more personally with you, and everyone has their own interpretations. And a new director would have the same interpretations. To give them detailed models, and someone would have to sit down and be like, this is exactly what happened here. This is exactly how they were reacting and all this stuff. Where before it was open to interpretation of every single person. It's just, it could change the game. And as you said, it's hard to give a beloved franchise to some up-and-coming nobody. I think it is different with films, especially since films are shorter. No one's remaking Citizen Kane, no one's remaking Casablanca, but they will remake cash cow movies from Hollywood because no one really cares about those. I wouldn't say that War of the Worlds is higher art. There's a line in the sand. I don't know. Case by case basis, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I think it is specific. I think blanket statements of any kind, can sort of be problematic. Although I do think in that case, the way around that, I think a lot of people who hate the special editions of the Star Wars movies feel the same way, is that being able to press a button and go back to the original graphics on some level makes problems with the new art style less important. Because while it's totally fair that you want to keep the look and feel as true to the original as possible, yeah, it's going to change. But if you actually give people the chance to experience the original, if that's really what they'd prefer,
I think
here's the special edition.
He's dropping out. While we wait for him to come back, I'm gonna say, video games cost a lot of money, more money than I think people realize. In order for a Square to remake Final Fantasy VII, in order for Activision to remake Black Ops or Modern Warfare 2, they'd have to invest $70 million, $100 million maybe. That's a big cost to invest in something that you might not make its money back. Final Fantasy VII may make the money back, but Square could determine that they are better served making Final Fantasy 15 instead, which is video games cost a lot of money. It takes a lot to make those assets. I don't know. No, go ahead.
The major thing is that these petitions are incredibly unrealistic. The problem here is that even though it does have 100,000 signatures, that even if everybody who signed it actually purchases the remastered version, it's unlikely that the 100,000 people who bought the game will actually purchase it.
And it can't live up to the lofty standards of nostalgia in the original game,
Also, probably won't recuperate costs. Now, there are moments where where remakes and remasters can actually be effective. For instance, I actually got into the Persona series through Persona 3 Portable, which is a remake of the original Persona 3 game on the PS2. I didn't get into Persona 3 on the PS2. I got it onto the PlayStation Portable. And it was a remake, but it had a remake that essentially addressed several of the major issues that were with the original Persona games. It changed the gameplay a little bit to make it more modern, and it implemented a series of new and very exciting things into the game. Like I was able to play as a girl, which I really like being able to play as. And the same thing
Okay, I
is
play games
with
as well too.
it's the same thing with Persona 4 Golden. Persona 4 Golden is not as big as of an overhaul of a remake as Persona 3 Portable, but if you look at any top 10 lists for PlayStation Vita games, Persona 4 Golden is going to top them, like 99% of the time.
Did they
Hmm?
redo the art assets? Is it the same engine?
It's the same engine. No, it's the exact same engine.
See, that's my point. Is that didn't cost them a lot of money to make that?
Yeah.
That was easy to make. And the same thing with SquareSoft's updates to their old classics on handhelds. It doesn't cost. There's not a lot of production value costs there to make that game. Which
Yeah.
those are remakes that I can kind of get behind, like small like quasi port remakes is what I'm saying.
I can see the value in a huge remake of an old game. For instance, I can see the value in remaking a game like the original System Shock, because that game had a very good atmosphere. It had very interesting and innovative level design, and it had a phenomenal introduction for Shodan. But its gameplay was just absolutely atrocious.
Yes.
So remaking a game like that can actually increase interest in the System Shock series, and that could lead to positive externalities, as in more people verbally filleting System Shock 2, even more than they already do right now.
Yeah. Well.
So there are cases where remakes could actually be incredibly useful, but for the most part, it's just not cost effective to do so.
No, I agree. I think a case by case basis, I would say. I would caution anyone wanting remakes, because you are basically assuming that the developer will do the right thing with these remakes, and it's asking a lot. What if the developer gets the game wrong? Like, they add in microtransactions to help make up for that production cost, or they say, "Oh, we don't like this story element, so we change the story element." What if Aerith dies, but you still get to play with her through the rest of the game? So it's a cautionary tale, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much.
This will probably be a shorter podcast today. We've had some technical issues. Joe, we have on here, Uncharted has been delayed. Of course it has. Did you hear about that? Uncharted 4 being delayed until first quarter next year?
No, I have not been hearing any news at all. Just gotta remember, I've just been romancing anime girls in incredibly creepy fashion all week.
Oh my god. Well, let's just talk about that then. Is it still the same game from last week?
Conception, yes.
Yeah. This isn't like one of the weird romance games, right?
No, it's not like Tentacle Bento or something like that, where you
it's more
play like a squid monster and you have to arouse a girl sexually as a giant non-anthropomorphic beast or something.
It's more like Persona, right?
It's not really like Persona as well. Persona is kind of got a more wholesome relationship. I wouldn't really say it's wholesome, but it's not sexual in its overtones.
Yeah. Well, it's implied sexuality in Persona. I like romance in games. I like the ability. Did you ever play Record of the Agrest Wars? I probably mispronounced that.
I have heard of it. I was going to play it, but I also believe that time I had just gotten Ultimax.
Yeah.
So I ended up tossing my time with Ultimax.
Well, it's a tactical JRPG where you play as the line of succession of one family, and every generation you play as the main character, who has to romance one of three women, who will then determine who the child is, and that child becomes the main character for the next generation. So I would recommend it to you especially. It's a 100+ hour JRPG game, but it's very social focused. I like in Persona, I like the romancing stuff. That's I don't want to get into the weird stuff. I don't really like that, but I like the whole character interactions and the courting, and it's fun, is what it is.
The fact that you get to live your life as a kawaii Japanese high school student.
Who did you pick in Persona 4? I'll tell you who I picked if you go first, though.
You probably picked Chie, didn't you?
Hell yeah, I picked Chie. Fucking everyone goes for the other girl. I go for Chie. Everyone Yokoko.
I originally picked Rise, which is the girl that everyone usually goes for.
That's what I meant. Rise, yeah.
Because because she's a hot sleut and perpetually thirsty. But my personal favorite was Yukiko because she's kind of a strange character because she starts off as incredibly bland and boring,
Definitely.
but once you get around the sixth to seventh social link, she actually becomes a pretty hilarious character. So I really like Yukiko. Canonically I tend to go for Rise, and simply because I don't really invest myself that much as a person into an RPG game. I don't really say, okay, so if I was this person, what would I
Oh,
say?
I'm not doing
And
that either, but I just of the girls, I went. Chie is the one that always gets shat on by
Yukiko?
yeah, Yukiko's always overshadowing Chie, and it's just like I want to give this girl the break that she deserves in life, so that's why I always picked her.
Well, yeah, but like I didn't even work on that line of logic. I went with the Rise because she was the only girl that, within the context of the story, actually responded to the protagonist as an actual love interest, which is why I usually romance Rise.
And that's such pandering. Is she the one that is the character supposed to take?
I think the canonical
Canon?
romance is
Yeah.
probably the main character's cousin, aka Nanako, because based off the anime, that's really the only person he shows any sort of affection for,
What's
even
with
if it's not
that?
sexual.
In Sword Art Online, he's in love with his stepsister, and
His
it's like,
cousin.
yeah, in
Well, he's
Japan,
not.
like all these
He's not.
anime. By the way, in Sword Art Online, his cousin way hotter than all the other chicks. So good on him for going after her, because that's who I would pick too. But
Is this
I
a
don't,
short hair fetish?
I don't understand Japanese culture and this cousin. It's like they have this weird, repressed, incestuous. I don't know.
I'm I'm not entirely sure about it myself. It probably has something to do with the fact that Japan, for much of its known history, is incredibly isolated and incredibly xenophobic.
Definitely, they're definitely a strange culture. But did you play the Mass Effect games? Of course.
Yes, I
Who did you romance in Mass Effect?
I romanced Garrus.
Can you romance Garrus? I thought you couldn't.
Yeah, you can romance Garrus.
I
Starting from
thought.
Mass Effect 2, you can romance him.
Oh, how'd that
Did
go?
you not know that?
Oh, you played as a girl though. You played as FemShep.
Yeah,
Oh,
I played Fenchette.
I played as Manshep. In Dragon Age, I play as a girl. I play as Hawk, female Hawk, which is who my Hawk is. But so you did Garrus. I did. Who's the chick?
There's multiple women.
Yeah, who's the one from the
Norman.
first one? The
There's multiple women.
not the blue one. Just the white chick.
There's more than one woman.
Oh God,
Are you talking about Tally or are you talking about Ashley?
Ashley. That's the one I romanced.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of Mass Effect 3, I stuck it out with Ashley because in Mass Effect. So the first one I did Ashley. The second one I did what's her face? The one that wears white. The bitchy
Where's
one.
White?
Yeah,
Liara?
She works for the smoking man.
Smoking. Oh, you mean Miranda?
Yeah, I did Miranda then
Yvonne Strahovski?
because I liked her name, so I did Miranda. And then, oh, it was so ridiculous. In Mass Effect 3, like the love triangle emerges, and it's like Ashley and Miranda are all there, and it's like, and one of them's like,
Ladies?
it's like ladies. Oh, it was fun. It was really fun. Yeah,
What?
romancing game is fun if it's handled well.
Yes. It gives
Right.
you something to fight for.
It does. Although, ironically enough, when I play Dragon Age, I don't romance my Hawk. She ain't got time for romance.
I romanced. Let me see here. In Dragon Age Origins, I romanced Alistair because I was playing a very sort of Machiavellian, two-faced queen sort of character.
Yeah.
Essentially, I played a Kuzlin that wanted to climb the power structure as quickly
Wait,
as
you
possible.
just said that you didn't roleplay in these games, and now here you are talking.
Well, I wouldn't do that. That person, that's not me. I'm just saying, in this particular Dragon Age Origin scenario, this is the kind of character that I've created. It's not what I would do. It's just what this character would do. The second one, in Dragon Age 2, the Hawk I ended up choosing to go with was an incredibly straightforward Hawk that had no real way to discern sarcasm.
He was
So
what's his face from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was
Sort
Batista.
of. Well, not Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista's character was actually pretty hilarious. My Hawk wasn't. No, I chose the diplomacy option for every single conversation choice. Then in Dragon Age Inquisition, I chose a female again, and it was a Mage Trevelyan, and she was incredibly snarky, and it made me really, really uneasy. Because there were so many things she said that made me go, oh my god.
So you were
Who
like
would say
Renegade
this?
Hawk. You did the Renegade option? I know they don't call it Renegade in that, but let's face it, it's Renegade.
Renegade?
Renegade's what... In Mass Effect, you have Paragon, Renegade, and Diplomatic. You know, the three
Oh,
options.
they called it diplomatic, finger quote, clever, and aggressive in Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, but, you know, everyone still called it Paragon and
in that context, I went full Paragon for Hawk.
yeah.
It was full Paragon. It was my Hawk was incredibly diplomatic in almost every situation he was thrust into. Continue.
My Hawk was brash. She ain't got time for that shit.
Yeah, no, my Hawk was a giant sucker.
I wish Dragon Age 2 was a better game because a lot of the character moments in that game are great. And that's unfortunate that game had so many shortcomings.
The character moments are pretty nice. I think the main issue with Dragon Age 2, other than the fact that it felt incredibly rushed, was that, well, there are two things with the story that I wasn't a huge fan of. The first one was that it wasn't entirely cohesive. There was something I touched upon in my Continue Play retrospective review. It was just that all of the three arcs were tenuously and very loosely connected, mainly through circumstance.
That is the worst part of that game. I completely agree with you.
The second thing that really put me off was essentially that Hawk and his general group was incredibly reactive rather than being proactive. So, like, most stories tend to gain momentum best when they're being proactive, when they have a goal they're working towards. But Hawk kind of doesn't really do anything until stuff happens to him. So it's sort of this strange sort of, oh, I'm just dicking around until something happens to me kind of scenario. In Origins and Inquisition, you both have incredibly proactive goals. In Origins, you have to stop the Blight and defeat the Archdemon. And in Inquisitions, you have to stop Corypheus. But Hawk doesn't really have that. He sort of just bounces off things as it happens.
You don't find out that you're supposed to be stopping him until like the very end of the game. It's just like I guess I should be stopping this from happening.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing. It's really weird.
Yeah, I feels like it was like DLC or something. I don't know.
I actually thought Dragon Age 2 would have been incredibly clever if the main sort of proactive goal of the game was for you to stop the era shock. If you just played as this incredibly xenophobic character, whether your character knows it or not, because that would have been a really cool and introspective look at seeing the sort of institutional force that racism has within a given society, especially in a fictional society that's supposedly based off the High Middle Ages, like Dragon Age in general is based off of. I would have loved that.
Yeah. Just yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry about the short episode, everyone. We had technical issues, and we had a bunch of other stuff slated for today. Yeah. We had other things slated for today, but we were unable to get to them. Things like the DLC because of Titanfall, and talking about the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. So hopefully we'll get to that next week. Joe, did you have anything to say? Did you learn anything this week?
I probably did, but I don't remember. So I think I'm gonna say no.
No. And I learned that Joe still plays creepy Japanese video games. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Do you mind if I smoke?
It won't affect the test.